Well, my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the very first video of a brand new season of Football Manager content on the channel. FM23 is now officially out, my friends. You can go and grab it for yourselves. I've already picked it up. I'm planning to do a couple of series on the channel. I highlighted what they were going to be a couple of weeks ago and they're going to start from tomorrow. But I thought on release day we'd do things a little bit differently this time around. We are going to do an experiment. I've been seeing lots of other bigger Football Manager creators doing a 100-year simulation in the game, but I don't really like the idea of doing 100 years straight off the bat. I wanted to do something that was maybe a little bit more realistic, and I thought, how old would I be in 50 years time? And I'd be 87, so I could actually be around and alive and kicking to see the results of this simulation potentially play out. So that is why for today's episode we have simmed 50 years. So join me, gang, as we find out what happens in Football Manager in 50 years time. So first and foremost, my friends, I will just quickly show you kind of the leagues that I'm running. These are the ones we're going to be able to view in a lot more detail, basically. If I would have loaded up all the leagues, this simulation would have taken a long time. It took long enough to get me to 50 years, to be honest with you. It says 100 years at the top because I have actually simmed 100 years. If I get enough likes on this video, enough interaction, maybe in a few days, I will share with you the results of the next 50 years in Football Manager, and you can really see how potentially crazy it gets. I have not yet looked at the 100-year results. I've only going to jump in today with you guys and be surprised and look at the 50-year results. But yes, these are the main leagues that I was basically running for this simulation. So we're going to head to the main screen. We will just click on La Liga. We'll go to competition reputation first and foremost. I think we'll take a look at. You will see it's obviously the 1st of June 2072, 50 years into the future, and the Premier League, no surprise, is still ranked number 1 in Europe as the best league. Now, something that I will say, something I've noticed with other simulations and what people have done is the leagues that you do have loaded up and loaded into the game do tend to be overpowered, but at the end of the day they were the 5 best leagues in Europe, so I wouldn't be too surprised. But at this point in the sim, Bundesliga is 2nd, Serie A is 3rd, Ligue 1 is 4th, we've got La Liga in 5th. Any surprises up here? Slovenia potentially in 6th position? No, 8th position might be a bit of a surprise. You know, like where's Russia gone? Where has Russia gone? Does it even exist? I don't know. Turkey's there, Ukraine, Russia doesn't exist in the game, maybe. Oh, there it is. Jesus Christ, 32nd. Yes, they've very much dropped off, haven't they? But anyway, let's jump in, shall we, and take a look at the Premier League. So in 2072, it's still Manchester United as one of the big guns in the competition. But as you can see, Southampton, Villa, Newcastle, all up there in the top 5. We've got West Ham with a UECL spot. I think that probably is in 9th place. Now, I don't know if everybody understands this, but the competitions, the Champions League formats and whatnot are all changing a couple of years into the saves now. Because I think from 2024-25, that season, they've changed the format of the competition. I really don't like the new format, but I think it's been put in place to appease those Super League fans and clubs that were trying to make the Super League. But yeah, so there's a lot more kind of Champions League positions and European positions up for grabs as the save games go on. But yeah, Manchester United did win it. But let's look at the past winners, shall we? We'll go all the way back to the beginning, and it doesn't really look like we've had any real surprises here for 50 years on in the Premier League. Liverpool, City kind of sharing it for the first few years, then Chelsea jump in there, and then it's a City, Liverpool again, Chelsea again, but then we get Newcastle from 2031, Newcastle jumping on in and having a real little spill there, haven't they? 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 Premier Leagues. Not bad from Newcastle in 6 years. And I've noticed West Ham finishing 3rd a few times as well, which is really interesting and amazing for me to see as a West Ham fan. And then we go back to Liverpool, Manchester United, a little bit of dominance again. Liverpool and Chelsea kind of sharing it for a few years. And then West Ham United in 2048-49 win the Premier League. Oh my God, if I've got to wait that long, ugh. It'll probably never happen. Anyway, Manchester United didn't go on a tear again with Newcastle in the middle of it. And at the end of it, Chelsea again, Manchester United, Chelsea, yeah, they're kind of sharing it. Chelsea go through a 4-year dominance, back to United, Liverpool, Newcastle, Tottenham, Manchester United, Newcastle, creeping on in there again. Just out of curiosity, 13 Premier League, 1 Champions League. That's going to be interesting to take a look at. Yeah, Newcastle have actually had a pretty good time of it, haven't they? Aston Villa finishing second. Is there any other weird ones potentially in there for the seconds? Yeah, West Ham finishing second. Spurs, Southampton third. Yeah, very, very interesting in the Premier League. What we will do is we will just jump down and take a look at the Championship, shall we? Because what we can see here is if there's any real surprises in the Championship. We've got Wrexham, AFC Wimbledon, Chesterfield. It's a lot more change down here, hasn't it? MK Dons. Southend, bloody hell, I believe Southend are in the Vanarama when you start the game. So for them to go all the way to the Championship is pretty incredible. Let's just take a quick look at their history. They've made it into the Premier League on 3 occasions. They've basically been a bit of a yo-yo club, and then they've had a bit of an off year here, but Jesus Christ, they've actually made it into the Premier League. That is incredible. Crystal Palace, Watford, Burnley, all promoted. The same old. Nothing's really changed there. Quick look at League One. So this latest season, is there anyone strange down here? Woking, potentially, are quite high up. York City, Bromley, Swansea down here. That's interesting. What I'm trying to see is if there's any big clubs, basically, that might have dropped down quite a few levels. But I don't think there is. And yeah, it all kind of looks kind of as it has, doesn't it? Anyway, let's jump back in here. Let's take a look at the Bundesliga and see if we've got any surprise winners of the Bundesliga. I will take a look at the domestic competitions and the European competitions as well. I don't want this to be an overly long video, to be honest with you, gang. I'm going to do this one, and as I've already mentioned, I am going to do another 50 years if enough people do want to see it. But as you can see, the Bundesliga looks as though it's very much the same old. There looks like there's been a little bit of a break in the Bayern dominance here and there, but Bayern Munich, to be fair, have absolutely dominated. Like Bayern, literally, they're so dominant, aren't they? Gladbach jumped in there and got 1, and then Bayern won 4 again. But there was a 3-year break here for Bayern Munich. Gladbach got a double. This is a surprise as well, Gladbach winning. They're struggling, aren't they, in real life, I believe, Gladbach. Freiburg then come from nowhere. They finished second, so 2 times actually a lot of times second. Very much the bridesmaid. Bayern Munich back to dominating ways. Dortmund split it again, and then Bayern just go on an absolute tear again, and then it's back to Gladbach, Bayern, Gladbach, and then Wolfsburg in 2070-71 kind of dive in there. Leipzig are kind of floating around, but yeah, Jesus Christ, that Bayern Munich dominance is there for all to see. Hansa Rostock, Braunschweig, up there. Nuremberg are up there doing quite well. That's quite interesting, to be fair. Let's take a look at Serie A and see what's been going on here. So the latest season, Lazio have just won it, which is great to see. I always enjoy seeing Juventus dominance broken, because they're very dominant in FM, aren't they, most years. Kind of, as you can see, proving my point right. But you will see for the first 5 years, Juve don't get close. The 3rd place was the best they did in the first 5 years. It went to Inter, Napoli, and AC Milan, kind of sharing it. Then Juve, back to Milan and Napoli, and then Juve, big era of dominance here with Napoli, a couple of wins. Atalanta jumping in there. Really love Atalanta as a team. Always got some really silky, skillful players, haven't they? Milan and Napoli, and then again a big bit of Juventus dominance with Napoli and Lazio kind of diving in there every now and then. Lazio did win 2 in a row, which is amazing to see. We've got Milan, Napoli, Milan. Oh, so here we go. The dominance of Juventus has been broken from 2063. Sorry, 2062, 63. Milan, Napoli, Milan, Lazio, Milan. So it's almost like every other year, Milan are almost like they have to win it. Lazio, Inter, Milan, Napoli, Lazio. Yeah, that's quite cool. You can see Juve are still up there. It's not like they've completely fallen off. They're always second or third. But interesting to see other clubs diving in there. Got Cremonese, Palermo, Avellino, Lecce up there in the big leagues. No one's dropped down. No big teams have dropped down, I don't think. Not that I can see anyway. No, not really. Benevento, I know they've had a bit of a time of it recently up in Serie A, but yeah, not too much. Liga. Now, I suspect this is going to be all PSG, and as I say that, Amiens have just won it. Lyon second, not third, and PSG have finished fourth in the latest season. Well, that is interesting. Let's take a look at the last winners. This is very exciting. I love it when the big dominant clubs get their eras broken. PSG, as much as they've had their era broken, they have gone on a big old tear there for about 15 years of just winning it back to back. Then Monaco dive in, PSG win again, Lyon dive in, and then they go on another, 6 years. And then it's kind of really broken up for them because Lyon really started to dominate French football before Amiens, of all teams, have kind of dived in and become the dominant force in France. From 2056, they're kind of there. Then they win 3 in a row, then 2 in a row, and then, yeah, just kind of sharing it with PSG. So this Amiens team, clearly, a very good team, and must have some pretty good players. So this guy's their key. Yes, that's their key player. What a striker! 400 grand a week. Yikes. See what some of his statistics are like. Been at Amiens most of his career. He's got 371 goals in 540 odd games. Wow, what a player! Well, that kind of says it all, doesn't it? Okay, they've won a Champions League. We are going to take a look at that, my friend. So, yes, stick with me for that. La Liga. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, it looks like it's the same old story, doesn't it? Real Madrid, Barcelona. But there are a few teams that have surprised us in this. But in the early years, it's very much Real Madrid and Barcelona sharing the spoils. Then you can see that Real Betis kind of started to creep in and finish second. And then they went on and won it in 2042. So that's really, really good to see. And then again, they won it in 2050. And then they had 3 years on the bounce. Right, so they're in there with them. And then we've had Athletic Club a couple of years. I believe one of the oldest clubs in Spain and have never been relegated. They're the team that can only sign Basque players. So yeah, Athletic Bilbao winning it a couple of times, which is really cool. I wonder if Deportivo La Coruña have been up into the La Liga. Doesn't look like they have. I say this, gang, because one of the series that we're going to be doing is a Return to Glory with Deportivo La Coruña. And yeah, I was just interested to see where they are. And they are not in Ligue that I have loaded up. Well, that's worrying that 50 years in the future, Deportivo are potentially still pretty shite. So what I thought I'd do as well is take a look at some of the domestic competitions and see who has been winning these. So the FA Cup, you will see Tottenham have just won the latest final by 4-0. But we take a quick browse through this and see what's been happening. Brentford won it in 2023. What an amazing day out that would be for Brentford. We had Man U v Brighton in the first season. West Ham made it to a final against Manchester City, unfortunately losing out. We've got Spurs winning a cup. We've got Villa winning it, Southampton winning it, Leicester winning it. Lots of different winners. West Ham again. Who else? Be sure to let me know in the comments if I do miss anything. But yeah, it looks like the same teams kind of sharing the spoils. Villa, twice runners up. That must be heartbreaking for them. West Ham, look at this. West Ham have been very successful in this save. Really, really successful. So that's quite interesting to see. The German equivalent, you will see, has actually been won by lots of different clubs. So we've got Leipzig, Dortmund, Leverkusen, Gladbach, Bayern have won it a few times. We've got Köln, Hertha, Wolfsburg, Hamburg. Yeah, this is really interesting. It's really interesting to see how dominant Bayern were in the league, but just not as dominant in the cup. We've got the Coupe de France. Is this the same again? Yeah, it is. Not as dominant from PSG. Rennes, Nice, Strasbourg. We've got Reims, Marseille. Yeah, really interesting to see that actually the domestic competitions are not really being dominated by the big clubs. It's actually the slightly smaller clubs, the Coppa Italia. So this one not so much. As you can see, like it is kind of the bigger teams, Inters, your Romas, your Juves, your Napolis, and so on and so on. There's no strange winners in here, really, that I can see. And then, yeah, there are other leagues we probably could look at, but quite difficult, really, because I don't have them loaded up. I can't look at them in a lot of detail, but, you know, maybe that's something you want to see. We can spend a bit more time when we go another 50 years to 100 years and maybe try and look at some of the other clubs as well. So now let's look at the big one, shall we, gang? Let's take a look at the Champions League. Now, just so you can kind of see what I was on about, this is what happens to all of the European competitions from the 24-25 season. And it's very, very complicated. It's really complicated how this works. The teams play, like, I think it's 6 games against random opposition. The top 6 go into like an automatic like knockout thing, and then there's a bunch of other clubs that go into a playoff, and then that determines the last 16s, and then it goes from there into a knockout football. It's quite confusing. I don't like the format at all, and I do think that the competition is going to be a lesser competition for it, to be honest with you, when it happens in real life. But let's take a look, shall we, at the Champions League winners. I think it's probably going to be very much normal kind of the stuff going on. Barca, Chelsea, City. Yeah, it's the Spanish and the English teams, as you can see early on. PSG do finally get their hands on one in 2034. Juve win one. But yeah, it's Chelsea, Liverpool, City are like dominating this. Man United, West Ham. Wow. 2050. West Ham win themselves a Champions League. Whoa. Please happen. Oh, and they got to the final again there against Chelsea. An all-English final. Wow, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. We've got Gladbach winning a couple back-to-back. That's good to see. Milan, Newcastle. Gladbach in the final twice. The runner-up, Amiens, have just won one in this latest season, which is really, really cool. This Amiens team is the big surprise so far. It really is. It's the big, big surprise for me so far, and I absolutely love it. So let's take a look at the Europa League and see who has been winning this competition. So I would expect this to potentially be a bit different, but remember what I said, because of the teams we got loaded up, like they're the ones that tend to dominate the database. But we got Benfica, and then Liverpool, Tottenham, Inter. We've got Lille, West Ham won themselves a Europa League, something we couldn't quite do last year in real life, but we've managed to do it in the game. Freiburg, Newcastle, West Ham win another one. West Ham win another one there. That's 4. Jesus Christ, West Ham love this competition. They've won 4 in the space of 20 years. Okay, if it ever happened, I would absolutely take it. We've got Leicester, Leipzig, any weird clubs in here. Southampton, it's quite cool seeing them. Lyon, we've got Liverpool's and Arsenal's. We've got Hertha, Berlin, Southampton again, Newcastle, Napoli, Real Valladolid. Is that how we say that? I believe that's how we say that. But that's really cool. Where are they now? They're in La Liga. Yeah, they're in La Liga. Did that mean they just finished 3rd in the latest season? I didn't even look at that, to be fair. Yeah, they've just finished 3rd. So they're going to be the Champions League next year. Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. Winning it then. They've already been in the Champions League, though, surely. But Dortmund have just won the latest one. And then if we take a look at the Europa Conference League, we've got Villarreal, Wolves. That's cool. Athletic Bilbao, Fiorentina. West Ham have popped up winning this as well. Numerous times. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times winning this as well. West Ham have been very good in Europe, haven't they? Who is this? That's a Polish team making it to the final. That's pretty cool. That's really, really cool to see. We've got a Greek team in Olympiacos making it to the final as well. Rangers made it to a final. Again. Obviously, it was a Europa League final, wasn't it, last year, but made it to a final. Leeds have won one. Lille. Rennes. We've got Copenhagen, got a Danish team making it all the way. Maribor. Slovenian team. I absolutely love this competition because I do find that the finalists and stuff end up being a bit more random, because this is like the third European competition, and it's kind of like where all of the slightly lesser teams end up. It's really cool that some of the finalists and whatnot that you see, like Sassuolo versus Braga. We've got West Ham and Arsenal beating Dynamo Kiev twice, getting to the final, twice runner-up. Athletic Bilbao have been in this competition a fair bit as well. They've won it and been a finalist, a losing final. TSV Hartberg, Austrian team, won it. There you go. That is a weird one. Hajduk Split, Croatian team, get into the final. St. Gallen, isn't that a Swiss team? They got to the final. We've got Wolfsburg winning it. Almeria. And who is this? A Hungarian team got to the final. And that, I believe, is a Romanian team. I absolutely love this comp because, like I say, you just get some very strange little teams making it to the final. Makes it really exciting. But really, the winners are kind of what you expect. A lot of Spanish, English and German teams, but there are a few little random ones in there. So let's take a look at the World Cup and who's been winning this, shall we? So, have we had any strange winners? 2022, which is the one that's about to take place. The first ever African winners. Senegal beat Croatia in the final. So that's 2 World Cups in a row. Croatia have made it to the final and been defeated. Yikes. Not a good look for Croatia, but unbelievable from Senegal. We got Portugal winning the next one against the Netherlands. We got Spain beating Sweden. Wow. England then won 4 in a row. Do you know what's crazy about Football Manager is that England are just so overpowered, in my opinion. We've won 1 World Cup in our entire history, right? And then not got close, really. Do you know what I mean? Recently we've had a tiny bit of success, but yeah, it's incredible. And then the following year we lose out to Germany in the final. Then we lost out to Italy in the final, and then we've won another one in 2066. Unbelievable. 100 years on, they win one. Wow. It was held in Germany. Just thinking, if the hosts were England, it would have just been history repeating itself, wouldn't it? Obviously, the final is slightly different, but yeah, Italy have won a couple as well. Yeah, kind of what I expected there from the World Cup. And then if we look at the Euros, is there anything strange going on here? No, not really. Nothing strange at all. All pretty boring. We've got France, Italy, Spain, Germany, England, Belgium. Maybe that's a strange one. Finalists, Albania. Okay, that's pretty weird. Albania made it to the final in 2024. Other than that, that's pretty boring, isn't it? And then I thought we'd end by just having a very quick look at the Ballon d'Or gang. Let's see who kind of some of the best players are kind of in the game, who was winning it early on. I was initially going to just simulate about 10 years at the beginning so we could see how some of the current crop in world football are doing. But, I just decided to crack on and do it the way we were doing it. So, Robert Lewandowski won it. Mo Salah, Mbappe, Haaland. So we had different winners. Then Kai Havertz a couple of years. Mbappe, Haaland, Mbappe again. Ferran Torres won it. Nikos Nikolaidis. Who is he? He's a Australian. He's retired now, but he was an Australian player. Jules Kayemba, an English player. He won quite a few, to be honest. 4 in 5 years. Jay Leafan was another one who won it, Englishman. Francois Xavier Le Breton. He ended up winning it a couple of times. Oscar Palic. So yeah, these are all regens we can see, but it's just interesting to kind of have a look, isn't it? And then if we get to kind of like the modern day, we got Sofiane Sergini, who has won it a couple of years in a row. He looks very good, doesn't he? Playing for Lyon up front. We've got David Prequinot, who has won it the last 3 years. A French striker who plays for Amiens. No real surprise that Amiens, of all teams, the biggest shock and one of the most successful clubs in this 50-year simulation, have got the current Ballon d'Or winner. Yeah, no surprise. 144 caps to his name as well. Ooh. And I just thought we would take a quick look at the Hall of Fame, because for those that are regulars to the channel, you will have known last year we did a Hall of Fame series, and I just wanted to see if there's any changes to it. And as you can see, Sir Alex is actually now in 4th position, with Carlo Ancelotti, who takes 3rd. Pep Guardiola ended up moving up to 2nd. Look how many things he ended up winning. He went to Chelsea and Inter Milan and Paris Saint-Germain after he finished with City. That's pretty incredible, but look at that. But Julian Nagelsmann, yeah, obviously he went to Bayern Munich, didn't he? And he won all of that, and he ends up top of the pile. 34 domestic divisions. Yeah, 73. He is retired. Jesus Christ. That's going some, isn't it? And so that brings part 1 of this little experiment to an end, my friends. 50 years we went into the future, and I just kind of wanted to do 50 years because I thought I will hopefully, all things crossed, still be alive in 50 years, and it'd be interested if some of this happened. What I am willing to do though, my friends, is go another 50 years in a few days' time. If I get enough likes on this video and enough of you comment and let me know that you would like to see it. Be sure to comment in the comment section below on your favourite part from this episode and from this video. I'd be really interested to get your take on what you made of this simulation. But my friends, keep your eyes peeled for plenty more FM23 content on the channel. We've obviously got the 2 brand new series starting this week, Project Alpine and our Return to Glory with Deportivo La Coruña. And I'm also going to be running a lot more experiments like this throughout this Football Manager season this year. If you're new, subscribe, drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Check out the description box for all my socials. But until next time, stay safe, stay humble, and I'll see ya real soon.